Friending. We can all go become friends, and that can be an issue. As we saw, you maybe don't want to friend your boss, especially if you're going to call him a purdy wanker. But defriending is also probably a bigger issue. People's use of social media changes. You might join Facebook and immediately become friends with everybody, but then how do you actually become unfriend people in the workplace? Is that harassment? Is it discrimination? And talking of harassment, let's talk about harassment. I know of a story of a young girl who was working in an organisation who, on Facebook, one of the work colleagues was trying to friend her on Facebook, continued to do it over and over again, and she kept ignoring him. This situation eventually got to the point where the guy started commenting on other employees' Facebook pages, wondering why that employee would not friend them. She was feeling harassed through this employee's actions. And this was happening outside of the workplace. It wasn't even use of social media in the workplace. Employees need to understand privacy settings. All of these tools, you can set privacy settings. Twitter, while it's out there, you can turn it all private and no one can see what goes on. Same with Facebook. Employees, if you're going to get employees involved in social media, they need to understand this. Technology risks, this is the most common thing I hear. You say, let's go shut down Facebook, let's shut down all of this because of viruses and all sorts of other scary things. At one point, Westpac, a couple of years ago now, let Facebook come into its organisation. Through consultation with the IT department, they shut down specific parts of the IP ports of the technology where certain applications communicate to meet their security requirements, but they found it a useful tool and found a way to bring it into the workplace. And at the end of the day, are we extending the definition of a workplace? By creating a company-sponsored Facebook page and requiring employees maybe to join up to Facebook, are you now creating a legal liability for yourself if they get harassed online because you've encouraged them as part of their job to come there? Now, just want to pause for a moment because yesterday a case went to the Industrial Relations Commission about the Facebook 5. Has anybody heard of the Facebook 5? Yeah. Okay, there's a number of corrective services officers in New South Wales who have been threatened to be sacked because of comments they made about their management on Facebook. Public Service Association has filed an application with the Industrial Relations Commission to have it squashed, to say that they intended their conversations to be kept private and it was done outside of work hours. So the PSA is also indicating, this is this really interesting bit, that it intends to seek a change to the award which makes workers exempt from dismissal for things they said or did outside of work hours. The claim says that employees shall not be subject to any disciplinary action by reason of conduct that occurs outside of working hours, which was intended by the employees to be private in nature. And this is one of the first legal actions like this in the world. Now, while it was a private conversation, the very nature of Facebook and those things is that anything could accidentally become public. So while we've got all of this stuff going on, and you may intend for it to be private, it may not always be private. And so with all of these scary legal things, if you don't do anything about social media in the workplace, it'll end up potentially like a zoo, with everybody running around with legal liabilities. And effectively, the only way to really manage this is to provide a governance framework and some guidelines. And managing social media in the workplace is like anything. It's like any management, it's management. If you've got a performance problem, you manage it. You don't shut down. Just because you've got a performance problem, you don't just shut down the technology because they'll go and talk around the water cooler. And there are various themes on how you can actually set up a governance environment. What you want to do is put down some rules of engagement, but what you don't want to do is create mountains of paperwork that employees will dutifully sit there and nod and go, yeah, and then ignore it.